Antonius Mizaldus de Mundi Sphaera, episode 18. Ergaposim menso constructum corpora mundi, membraque naturae de ursa condita forma, vis divina regit verbo quet numina mundi. Notice we have elisions here at ergo and opus, and then also at verboque and et. The author, or the publisher, I don't know which, has placed in the margin little prose summaries of the content, and I find these quite charming. So here we're told in the form of a proposition what the content is. It's mundum. Notice there's mundum in the masculine singular accusative. It has that ligature, that is the mark above it, which means that the u actually equals um. And this is masculine singular and accusative because it is the subject of the present infinitive passive regi. You see that right here, regi, like so. So what this means is that the world, mundum, is ruled or is governed vi divina. It is governed by a divine power, and that's a feminine singular ablativus instrumenti. It's a feminine singular ablative of instrument. So we learn an important lesson here, namely that when propositions are stated as a summary, it's common to have them in the accusative and infinitive form, accusative plus infinitive. So this contains the notion that the world is governed by divine power. And now we come to the poetry itself. So we start with the object, or one of the objects, and that is opus, and that's a neuter singular and accusative. So the work, that is constructum, notice that ligature, the work that is put together or constructed immenso corpora, with a massive body of the world, or in the massive body of the world. Immenso means, quite literally, unmeasured. And so immenso and corpora are neuter singular and ablative, and mundi is a genitive, a masculine singular genitive, its second declension. So therefore, the opus constructum, the work put together with an immense body of the world, and que, we go on to the next part, that is the membra. So this is a neuter plural accusative, and it's going to be the second object when we get to the verb. And the limbs that are condita, that are put together, this is from the verb condo, condere, which means to put together or to create. It can often mean that. And the limbs that are put together, diversa forma, with a diverse appearance, or a different kind of appearance of nature, diversa forma naturae. I'm taking naturae here as a feminine singular and genitive, and condita, perfect passive participle modifying membra. So maybe we should say, and the limbs or the different features of the world that have been created or established through a diversa forma, through a variable appearance of nature, all of that, vis divina regit, divine power governs. So finally here in the third line, we reach the subject, that is vis, which is a feminine singular nominative. It's an irregular noun, and it's modified by divina, vis divina regit. So divine power governs the opus, and it governs the membra. Opus modified by constructum, membra modified by condita, with some other modification that's in place as well. And this happens both by the word and by the divine presence of the world. So what we have here really is et. So et verbo, and that's a neuter singular ablative, and then we have et numina, which is another neuter singular and ablative, and it ends with a genitive mundi, which is a masculine singular genitive, just like the one 2 lines before, both by the word and by the presence. Now, what to do with mundi here in the genitive singular? I think it's meant to imply that God, who is the author from the previous portion, Deus est author, if you remember that he rules over the world by his word and by his authority, his numina, or his presence. But I'd like to hear from the listeners if they have a different way to interpret mundi. If you enjoyed that little video lesson, please go ahead and subscribe for us, click the bell and so forth. Check out the other videos on this page, leave a comment, and please be sure to check out our Patreon page as well.